Thank you very much. I made him work for those extra 2.5 minutes, didn't I? So, when was the last time you woke up and said to yourself that today, I'm going to produce something half-assed? I'm just going to shoot from my hip and see what we get. You probably didn't. At least not in your right mind you didn't. Why is that? Well, because by nature, me, you, everyone in this room, we're high performers. We're overachievers. We spend extraneous amount of time fixing, quote unquote, fixing every little thing that we see. See like the italics on my slide there, on little? I spent some time on that thing. To try to fix every little thing that doesn't need fixing. I'm sure you guys wouldn't have noticed that if I hadn't pointed it out. Just like most of the things that you, quote unquote, fix on your products are. Whether it's the aligning of the element or a little feature that you want to add that doesn't need to be added, we spend a lot of time because we want it to be the best. And we're super critical of every single thing that we do. Because we're overachievers. We want to have everything or nothing. If it's not perfect, it ain't worth doing it. Right? We've all heard that. We heard that growing up. I'm Syed, as Ryan told y'all, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. I still struggle with perfectionism. As a matter of fact, I didn't bring my old business cards that actually had my title as the perfectionist. I used that title. And over the years, I've built some very successful businesses. Ryan mentioned WP Beginner, which I hope all of y'all have seen. It's a fairly large resource site. List 25, which I'm quite proud of, has 1.5 million subscribers, 250 million views, and then Opt-in Monster, which I'm going to talk a lot about our journey on how we nearly failed on this product. And just a week and a half ago, we launched it into a SaaS. So it was a WordPress plugin, and now it's software as a service powered on WordPress. So every single venture that I start, I have this struggle with perfection. I always want it to be the best. So let's take a look at how you can overcome it. In order for you to overcome it, you need to understand that perfection is a problem. Not just understand it, accept it. You are struggling with it. Perfection is not attainable. Simple. You cannot get there. I'm sure if Matt decided in 2003 that he wanted WordPress to be an application framework, it probably wouldn't have even been forked. It would still be V2. Perfection is not expected. Your clients, your customers understand, your blog readers understand that you're not perfect. A typo happens? Cool, you got an extra comment, extra page view, extra money in your ad account. If you make a little boo-boo, they'll report it, they'll tell you that you messed up. Pippin made great examples of all the plugins that messed up. Soliloquy was one of them. And it was okay. We didn't die. It survived. You know, we earned customers' trust by fixing things. So perfection is not really expected. And perfection is a moving target. Whatever you think you're going to perfect today, you'll find a better way of doing it tomorrow. And I'm sure, like 2 days from now, you're all going to learn a lot of cool things here, and you're going to be better at what you do. And you get better every day, every month, every year. Next year, you'll find something better. Maybe a better way of naming a JavaScript class or something. It hurts your business. And let me show you how. When you create these list of features, these list of tasks that you want to accomplish, you overwhelm yourself. You end up procrastinating. You start using perfectionism as an excuse for procrastination, which lowers your productivity because you're spending all that time trying to get that button to vertically align in IE6 and every other browser. Doesn't really need to be. Which stagnates growth. Every day you don't push, commit, and release that next version, you're slowing down. Now, it's one thing when that's happening when your product is live, and it's another when your product isn't even around. doesn't even exist yet, and you're trying to perfect it. How many of you have side projects that you start working on, and then it just sits in the computer? Yeah. I have a lot of this. Opt-in Monster almost became one of those. So in 2012, I came up with this brilliant idea that I needed to make my own pop-up solution because everything else sucked. Then I never launched it. 2013, partnered with Thomas, and I'm like, dude, I think you're a much better coder than me. If you build it, it would be a lot better. And then we spent 8 months trying to perfect this thing that we never even launched. And on the 8th month, when we started doing a beta, we realized what a colossal failure this thing was. This thing wasn't going to scale. It was crashing people's website left and right. Good thing we didn't start selling it. This was going to be canned. Like I had two options. The more likely option was, okay, let's just kill it and cut our losses and move on. The other was, let's challenge ourselves. 30 days and make it better. You're like, okay. So we stripped down all the features. We were going to launch it as SaaS, guys. We turned it all around and said, it's only going to be a WordPress plugin. Stripped down a good chunk of features and launched. Hit the market. And after that, just improved. So the biggest thing is, from that story, is you cannot grow if you do not exist. We waste so much time thinking about scalability and this and that. Is it going to work? Is our users going to like this? You simply cannot grow if you do not exist. Starting your business, every time you delay your launches, every time you delay your next version, if it breaks, cool. Now let's take a look at why. Why are we such perfectionists? Right? That's the only way. Now we understand it's a problem. We accept it's a problem. Why do we have that problem? We're told to. When we're growing up, you want to produce your best stuff. You have insecurity. What if it fails? What if it's not good enough? Well, so what? You can always improve. There's always social pressures. If you're anything like me, then you've always been the top of your class. You've always done the best. You're expected to do the best, which leads you to have unrealistic expectations. I'm like a machine. I'm going to code like 2,000 lines today. I'm going to add all these things. And this is good. You have the desire for excellence. It's all right. A moderate amount of perfection is great. But when it goes out of hands, that's when you go crazy. So 2009, July 4th, I launched WP Beginner. I didn't expect it to be as big as it is today. About a year into it, it was getting decent traction. And quite frankly, the original design of the site was just, we were outgrowing it. And users were sending feedback, hey, you should add this, perhaps you should do this, perhaps you can do this. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So I started working on this version 2 of WP Beginner design and started adding all these tweaks and this and that. About 2 months into it, notice I'm talking about tweaks that haven't made live that I've been making. 2 months into it, I said, I think I want to do this next flashy thing that's called responsive design. At that point, there weren't even all the right things there. And actually, wouldn't it be cool if I just make it look everything like the WordPress dashboard? So for 3-4 months, WP Beginner website looked just like the WordPress dashboard. Because I thought it was the cool thing to do. I said, screw this. I think this is excellent. It's going to help me grow. Everybody's going to remember the site. It looks just like WordPress. Well, my bounce rate went through the roof. We had a 90% bounce rate. And the pages per session went down. So I was losing a third of my traffic. I'm freaking out. So what did I do? I take out that version 2 that was iterations of version 1 and call it version 4 because I had already announced that this is version 3. I had skipped over version 2, so I had to call it version 4. I can't call it version 2, right? This is the first time I'm sharing this story in public, by the way. So launch version 4, got all that traffic back. Our bounce rate now is around 40% or so, which is pretty good. And we just improved over time, one after another, tweak after tweak. We still haven't made the next jump into the modern era because I'm like, screw this is working. If it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix this. That was an important lesson for me there. So if perfection is good, it's only good in a little bit, in moderation. But you can put how do you solve from going to extremes? How do you keep it from destroying your business? Well, there's systems, systematic things you can do, which I've learned over the past, and sometimes, the folks that hold me accountable tell me I'm breaking my own systems. First thing, set smarter goals. Now, what do I mean by smart goals? Isn't all your goals smart? No, actually, most of your goals aren't. So go on Google, type smart goals, go in the images section, download one of those empty charts, and every time you set a goal, make sure they meet all these criteria, that your goals are specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're realistic, and they're timely, time restricted in one way or form. You have to make sure the deadlines that you set are concrete. So do this exercise every time you set a goal. That's the only way, systematically, you're going to get better. Now, in this, the number one point of your failure is going to be time. You're almost always going to struggle to meet that deadline. Why? Because you're not setting the S part right. You're not being specific enough in your goals. You have these huge astronomical goals, these unrealistic expectations. Let's break that down. It's smaller tasks that you can measure. It's easy to attain. So instead of saying, right now, OptinMonster has 19 different email marketing integrations, right? Now, in the beginning of the software launch, I said, I want to integrate with all the software, all the email marketing softwares, we wouldn't have launched until now. You would just be seeing a launch happening. Instead, I said, you know what? Let's just launch with 5 features. And this week, my goal is to integrate with MailChimp. I can measure it by seeing that it's a completable goal. It's attainable because I'm giving myself a full week to integrate with MailChimp. So it's pretty realistic as well. And I have a time deadline that I have to hold myself accountable for. You have to set hard feature freezes if you're building a product. And for milestones, to measure them, you can use GitHub, you can use Basecamp, basically anything. You need to have some sort of tracking, Asana or whatever. So 8 months of failure, we decided we're just going to launch an MVP. At this point, I'm just thinking, you know what? Instead of canning it, why not I just do it the WP Beginner way or any other blog that I have launched? Launching products are just like blogging. You start with writing 1 post a day, and then like 6 years later, it's kind of a big deal. Pretty popular site. So why don't we just launch with a base set of features? And then you saw this website come up, started collecting people's emails, and we started inviting them. And then we launched, and this was part of our pricing page. If you notice, we have 6 features listed there. We didn't have all of these features in our product. You notice, right next to comment checkbox, sidebar widget, and full page takeover, there's an asterisk that says, these will be released over the course of the next 3 months. So why did we have 3 versions, or 3 different widgets that we launched with? Because I wanted to set the mindset in the user that they're not buying everything. There's a pricing structure. So I said, well, Lightbox, which is what everybody really wants out of our audience, let's give that in all the plans. Then I said, footer bar, which is something that scrolls with you for opt-in, let's put that in the plus. And what do I make exciting about the pro plan? Well, let's add exit intent, and then let's give them slide in, something that slides from the right-hand corner. And the rest, all the jazz and stuff, we can add later, we can improve. 30 days, we launched. We knew that our product wasn't perfect. Not from our standards, it wasn't. But everyone else appreciated our work. Why? Because it was significantly better than anything else in the market. Done is simply better than perfect. That was the lesson that we learned from it. Because everybody else in the market was lacking on the features that we were providing. Better code, better support, speed, and all that. So when you think you're going to solve a problem, you have identified it, just you're good enough is probably going to be better than most solutions in the market. And I can bet you that. If you say to yourself, well, I don't know if my work is worthy for other people to see, well, that's not your decision to make. Let them decide. Let your users decide and see what they say. Oh, if it sucks, they will tell you that it sucks, right? When we pushed out version 2 of Soliloquy, it broke so many sites. The users let us know about that. We got so many hate mail on there that it's crazy. But guess what? We fixed it. It is much better to launch something that is good enough rather than waiting and not launching at all. Because I imagine if I hadn't launched Opt-in Monster after the 8 months and just say, can it, we wouldn't have another very successful 7-figure business there. So let them decide. Get the feedback. How do you get these SMART goals and avoid perfectionism? All about prioritization. You got to focus on the big picture and follow the 80-20 rule. It's true in websites, blogs, and products. 80% of your traffic comes to 20% of your articles that you write on your site, or 20% of pages on your site. Just like 80% of your customers use 20% of your product. I mean, I could probably tell you that Opt-in Monster customers don't even use 10-15% of its maximum potential. So let's focus on those features, and that's what we did in our MVP. We launched the Lightbox. We launched the Exit Intent. We said, we need A/B testing, but it doesn't need to be super advanced. Let's put a basic A/B testing. Page level targeting doesn't have to be very advanced. Let's just put it. A week and a half ago, we launched a SaaS solution, and over the years, we improved. We improved that page level targeting to a point now you can say, if the URL has this slug, match that thing. It's getting powerful every day. Every day it gets better. So you got to focus on the big picture. Create these short-term goals that are going to help you reach to the long-term goal. My long-term vision was that Opt-in Monster should work on every website. We failed because we were trying to perfect this thing. We launched, and over the years, we just kept improving. I wanted to integrate with every email marketing service provider. We only integrate with 19, right? I want us to be able to integrate with like new Ontraport. We don't have integration with them. Now we can set short goals. We didn't have integration with Infusionsoft before either, and now they're our third largest integration provider, right? So what you have to do is set, okay, this week I'm going to integrate with MailChimp. This week I'm going to add like this piece of analytics. And over the course of a month, Aaron built this amazing integration with Google Analytics. Take the user feedback and improve. So over the months, we kept rolling out a new feature, one version after another, and we got to the big version 2.0. Now, mind you, if anybody used the version 1.0 of Opt-in Monster, it was messy. You could not extend it. There weren't right hooks and filters. There weren't documentation in the code, so if you were looking at it, you were like, what the heck? But guess what? Majority of our users were never going to go in the code. Our users weren't, our customers weren't developers. So why should we cater to the 10% of the audience? We pushed it out. And then over the years, in version 2, we added really, really good documentation. We added the hooks and filters that needed to extend it. We added an API. Adding these little building blocks allowed us to launch a SaaS version that I had dreamed of on day one, right? The SaaS version that I wanted to launch. So what you should be striving for is progress, not perfection. Right? A lot of times I think where we struggle is we interchangeably use the word progress and perfection. Actually, progress is greater than perfection because you can never attain perfection. Every day there's something. You can improve in one way or another, so you're never perfect. So what you should strive for is progress. Now, a key part of those SMART goals that I talked about is the deadline. So, accountability. If you need a coach, get a coach. Find a friend. You need to hold yourself accountable to the goals that you set for yourself. If you say you're going to hit this deadline, make sure you hit that deadline. If you don't hit that deadline, somebody should, talk to you about that. If you don't have friends, turn around and talk to the person next to you here. And make friends. Meet every week, every month, every quarter. And talk to each other about these different goals. If you have to hire a coach, pay. I was trying to lose weight for the longest time, and I sucked at it. So I paid a personal trainer. He holds me accountable. So I live pretty healthy now. Getting better. It's crucial. Delegate. One of the ways that's slowing down your business is your perfectionism, at least for me, is delegation and, more importantly, the letting go part. Right? You've been doing everything yourself in your business when you start, and then as you grow, you hire more people. You didn't hire them to babysit them. You hired them because they're good. So you should trust them. You should empower them and let them take them charge. Now, if you can't do that, and your person sucks, then you hired wrong. Fire them and find somebody else that you can trust to let go. Give that task to them and they will do it. Anytime they need improvement, make suggestions. Tell them, hey, this is what you can do to improve. So I didn't start a Soliloquy. I bought into Soliloquy when Thomas and I merged it. And when we did this merger, Thomas became the CTO of all our properties. And Soliloquy was his baby. That was his first project. So it was hard for him to let go of it. And in order to take this new role, I'm like, dude, you kind of have to let go. I had a big struggle. Reviewing every single line of code that are, we put Tim as in charge of lead developer, and Thomas was reviewing every single line of code there. But slowed everything, not just on Soliloquy end, but also on everything else that he was supposed to be doing. Then we're like, okay, let's put systems. Let's give him the power. Trust. If you can't trust the guy you hired or the gal you hired, hey, fire them right there. Because you have to have some sort of trust. Empower them, empower your employees to grow. Now, my favorite saying from Voltaire is, don't let perfect, get in the way of good. And that's what we were doing. Tim is amazing, he's an excellent developer, and Thomas was getting in the way and saying, hey, stop it. I want to do this. And I had to hold him accountable. And there are times when I'm getting in the way of designers and like, no, this is not perfect. You didn't have that italicized in the slide. And Thomas gets in my way and says, dude, stop it, kill it, let them do it. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Now, what I've found, for me personally, and maybe you found it too, is that one of the reasons why we're so insecure is that we're not rewarded enough. You're just so used to performing at this really high level that you just kind of expect to do that. And kind of builds up that insecurity, that fear of failing and fear of not doing good. So you got to celebrate your victories. As your team, everybody. Somebody does something well, celebrate it. Because, right, you can't just do negative punishment, right? You're holding somebody accountable. So the purpose of the mastermind group that you're going to create. I hope everybody after this creates a mastermind group or find a friend that you work with. If you're going to hold them accountable, you also have to reward them. We go on these little parties, we go on retreats, we go do dinners, we attend awards, whatever. You have to celebrate those victories, celebrate the little milestones that you reach. That's the only way to not let that insecurity build up. So that forces you into perfectionism again. And I'll end this with a quote, the perfection is the curse. And I've learned this, it's because good and bad. Anytime you try to innovate, it's going to be messy. Not just can, it will be messy. So all you got to do is learn and improve. Thank you.